Okay, the first thing you need to do is open your notebook to the next blank page and copy day 2.2 quadratic key features at the top, and then copy this and this chart on your paper, and so you get there. The other is to take this paper and you're going to cut out along this dotted line. You're not going to use the bottom, you won't glue this in, this is just a word bank, but you're this top half, so you'll need to cut along here as well, and you'll glue this on the next page in your notebook. So your notebook should have this on one side and this on the other, and it's fine if they're not like. So pause the video until you get there. So the first thing we'll do is go over the three forms of quadratic equations. So the first form is called intercept form. It's also called factored form, and this is the way that our factored form will look. You'll have f of x equals, and remember we can write f of x as y equals as well. It's the same thing. And then you're going to have a number here for a, is if a is not written, then a is 1. And then you're going to have two sets of parentheses. And you'll have x plus or minus some number, so we'll call it m for this general form, and then x plus or minus another number, and we'll for this form. So this is just the general form for intercept or factored form. So this letter a and m and n will be replaced by numbers in an actual equation. Standard looks like this. So again, it has an a, and this one is ax squared plus bx plus c, and you might recognize this from Algebra 1. If we want to take and change it in form, so when we convert this way to this way, this is when we use either FOIL or box method or double distribution, whichever you have learned, where you multiply x times x, times this number, and then this number times x, and then this number times this number. So we call it double distribution. If you call it FOIL or box method, that's fine here. So double distribution or box method, etc. Okay? And then the last form is vertex form. So this one also has an x, or h is going to be a number. This one is squared, and then plus k, and again k will also be a number. So all of these equations all have it with a, and they all have x squared in some form, whether it's showing this factor being squared, so you would have an x squared here, there's an x squared here, and this one comes from x times x. And then the other letters are just numbers that will be plugged in eventually. All right, so we are going to now cover the key feature. We're going to do this is we're going to take a look at this bottom left graph, and we're going to identify all of the key features for this left graph. Those are in this word bank, which I probably won't refer to in this video. I'm just going to fill it in and explain as we go. But we're also going to compare sometimes to these three forms. So you'll, okay, so we're here would be to look for the vertex, because I can easily see the vertex in this graph. The vertex is this point right here, turns around. This point, if I start at the origin, I go left 1, so that's -1, and down 9, so that's -9. So the coordinate of the -1, -9. So I'm going to write that right here in this vertex box, -1, -9. And I can do the same thing for the left side as well. The coordinate of this is -3, -1, -3, -1. Okay? From the vertex, I get vertex form. So the first thing I'm going to compare is vertex form and the vertex. And you're going to want to use your rules or your highlighters for this part as well, because we're going to be comparing these different forms with some of the different key features. So vertex form is this one. It looks like this. It has the A and the H and the K. And so what you're going to see is that this x value of the vertex is actually your h value, and then the y value of the vertex is your k value of the equation. So when I go to write in vertex form, y equals, we're going to, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to go straight to the parentheses. Remember, I'm writing it in vertex form, which is this form here. So I have x, and then this h. Well, h is -1. So if you're doing minus a negative 1, that becomes a positive 1. And your k value is -9. So what I want you to see with vertex form and the vertex is that whatever your k value is, in this case, it's going to be exactly that in the equation. The k value is not, but the h value, which is -1, changes to a positive 1 when we go into. And the way that we're going to remember that the h value has to change is this. So h lives with x. Inside of the parentheses in vertex, h lives with your x. So if you had to live with your x, you would probably be crazy, right? So h is the crazy one because it has to live with its x. So it's going to change signs. So again, we can see that here. -1 in the vertex form, and then in vertex form would be positive. So if I wanted to do the same thing then when I write vertex form, if the x value is -3, then it's going to be x plus 3 in the parentheses squared, and then the k value is negative, going to be a -1 here. The next thing that we will compare, so you'll need a different color for this, is intercept form, and we're going to compare those steps. Now, x-intercepts, and you need to know those other names, so they're also called roots, they're also called zeros, and they're also called solutions. Pause this video if you need to write and catch up, and then keep playing once you are ready to listen. Okay, so the roots or solutions are the x-axis, so that would be here at -4 and at 2. Now I need coordinate points for this, so this coordinate point would be -4. That's my first x-intercept, is at -4, 0. And there's another x-intercept here at 2, 0. So what y value is 0 for both of these because it's on the x-axis, and anywhere on the x-axis your y value is 0. So let's take these roots, we're going to use them to write it in intercept form. So remember, intercept form is the one that has the two factors or the two binomials. So it's kind of like your h value here. You're going to have x, and then you're going to insert here. So because the root is -4, it's going to become a +4 inside of parentheses. So again, it's going to change h value did. In vertex, roots will change signs in intercept form. So then the other factor would be x -2, and this one is -2 because the 2. Okay? And I can do the same thing for this guy. So for this graph, your root is at -4, 0, -4, 0, and -2, 0. So if you want to pause and try to write this equation by yourself for you, I'm going to go ahead now and let's see if we got the same answer. So because the root is -4, the factor is going to be x. The factor is going to be x plus 2. So using our highlighters again, we're going to notice that the root changes sign and it does the same thing. Okay. The last thing we're going to compare is standard form with your y-intercept, and this is the E, I think. Your y-intercept is where you cross the y-axis, so don't confuse it with the vertex because they're really close in this situation. Y-intercept is the y-axis. So this coordinate point is 0 for your x value and -8 for your y value. 0, 8. Okay, and that's different from an x-intercept because the 0 is in a different place. So if I wanted to get standard talked about in this chart, you would start with factored form and then you would double distribute these two factors and that would give you standard form. So you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and show you what standard form would. It would be x times x, which is x squared, and then you'd have a -2x because x times -2 is -2x, and a +4x. And when you terms, that's going to get you a +2x. And then 4 times -2 would be -8. So what I want you to see here is that your is the last number in standard form, which is your C value. And when I say C value, I'm talking about this in standard form. Here's your C value at the end. It's your C value here in standard form. It's the same thing as the y-intercept. So if we wanted to do that for this one, the y-intercept, so that's 0, +8. And if you foiled this or box method or double distribute intercept form, that would give you x squared plus 8. So again, here you can see that the c value or the last number in standard form matches your y-intercept. The key feature that we're going to talk about is the axis of symmetry. An axis of symmetry is a line that cuts the parabola in half for the parabola. So you don't want to cut it this way, because if you have a line of symmetry this way, the top is not a mirror image of the bottom. Vertically. So you want to find the center of the parabola, which is going to go through the vertex, because the vertex is at the center. So this creates symmetry where the right side is the same as the left side, and that the value of this axis of symmetry, x value at -1. So your axis of symmetry is x equals -1. And then here, graph, that x value, so you have x equals -3 for your axis of symmetry. And you should also be that the vertex, the h value of your vertex or the x value of your vertex is the same as the axis of symmetry.